Chapter 13, To the Dwarf Kingdom. As Rigurdo had declared, the preparations were complete by noon. Choosing the expedition party was also uneventful. Rigurdo's son Riguru was in the top 5 candidates. Of course, Ranga came along. Oh. Should I make Riguru the commanding officer? I was a little uneasy about it, but he himself agreed. Rigurdo also seems to have regained his youthful vigor, so maybe I worried too much. And so, after I had picked up the baggage, Ranga had me get on his back. Boy, I was buried in his fur. And while the surrounding fur seems to have secured me in place, I still feel the need to use sticky thread. It's times like this that make me regret not having arms or legs, but I guess I can manage with abilities. You see, I secretly practice manipulating the string to defeat an enemy with a web. Isn't that every man's dream? Whether I'll be able to learn those techniques, I do not know, but I decided to keep practicing regardless. That aside, the baggage held our money and provisions. Food enough for 3 days. If the trip takes longer, the plan is to hunt the rest of the way. We could have taken more, but I'd rather avoid bringing a caravan worth of food. Well, I could carry nearly an infinite amount inside of me, but spoiling them is a bad idea. Since I do not eat anyways, that was my decision. For currency, we brought 7 silver and 24 bronze coins. Which, of course, is a meager amount. I don't expect much. If it's not enough, we'll figure that out later. Now then, time to go. At a goblin's pace, the trip to the Dwarf Kingdom takes about 2 months. Through the forest runs the vast Emerald River. Beyond it, a mountain range reveals itself. And it is in those mountains that you will find the Dwarf Kingdom, they said. Other than by the empire to the east, the Jura forest is surrounded by many countries. And yet, bordering no state, stands the Kanat mountain range. Thus, there are only 3 trade routes leading to them. One goes right through the Jura forest. Another, the harder, traverses the mountains. The last is a sea route. Currently, the Jura forest route is by far the shortest and the safest, but, for some reason, it's generally avoided. And so, the harder mountain route had been the norm. As for the sea route, the cost and the powerful sea monsters steer sailors away. Thus, it is the least used route. For now, we have no business with the empire. Thus, rather than heading east, we headed north to the mountains. Nor do we need to ascend to the mountain summit. The Dwarf Kingdom spreads all the way to the Emerald River. Their capital is a beautiful city carved inside a natural giant cave. Such is the Dwarf Kingdom. So as intended, we continued north along the Emerald River. Since following the river prevents us from getting lost. Though just to be safe, I have opened the map in my head. As for our guide, he was sent as a messenger to the kingdom before, so we left it to him. But man, the black wolves, Stormfang wolves, are fast and show no signs of getting tired. Since we started the journey 3 hours ago, they have yet to take a break. And let's not forget to mention their 80 kph, 50 miles per hour, running speed. They don't even care about the uneven terrain, and while running in a way as to prevent motion sickness. It's unnaturally comfortable, to say the least. At this pace, this probably won't even take a week. Well, there's no need to rush. Certainly I want to figure out the clothing and housing problems soon, but it's fine if it takes some time. Ooh boy. You don't need to push yourselves this much, is what I called out. But for some reason, the speed increased. At first I thoroughly enjoyed the breeze generated by these faster than a motorcycle wolves, but that got boring soon. More so considering that it's difficult to have your words heard at this speed, but I have telepathic communication. Might be good to continue the journey with the conversation. So I connected to their thought network. What will I hear? Riguru-kun. I always wondered, who named your brother? Though for someone like me, don't bother with honorifics. As for my brother's name, he said a traveling man from Devil Race named him. Oh, a devil named a goblin? Yes, though this happened more than a decade ago. I was but a child then, but they say he stayed a few days and was pleased with my brother. Must have been a good brother. Yes, I was very proud of him. To the point of saying I want to one day serve under Devil Julmuto-sama too. The devil didn't take your brother with him? Yes. Brother was still young, but he departed with a promise to come back when I got stronger. Is that so? Wouldn't he be surprised if he sees the village now? Certainly. However, I now serve Rimuru-sama. No matter how glorious the Demon Lord's army is, I can no longer join Julmuto-sama. The Demon Lord's army? I think I've heard of them. But never mind that, how come you believe him? As you say. But whether it was faith or conviction, I don't know. Though my brother received a name from the devil, he didn't evolve to this extent. Clearly, the degree of evolution is different. Never expected to hear the voice of world in my entire life. The surrounding hobgoblins would only join in with that right kind of phrase. Is it really as he says? When you receive a name, you evolve. And the evolution depends on the power of the giver. If I get a chance to experiment, I'll try it out. More important, Demon Lord's army. It actually exists in this world. Will the Demon Lord come to recruit us? Which side should we support? That thought I'll leave for when he comes. In any case, a hero also exists, and if anyone should fight the Demon Lord, it'd be her. Though whether she is still alive after 300 years is a good question, she probably reincarnated a bunch of times by now, and now trains in peace. Let's make a mental note regarding this. Now then, the next conversation is, Ranga. Aren't I your father's nemesis? Are you okay with staying by my side? Is how I asked the Black Wolves. Honestly, that thought had never crossed my mind. However, the fate of monsters naturally rests on the outcome of battle. Thus, regardless of the war, the winner proclaims his justice. The loser loses all, and so, I, who had been forgiven by you, my liege, and have even been bestowed a name. I feel but gratitude towards you. Is that so? Well, if you ever desire revenge, come at my any time. Phew. Since evolving, I can think more clearly. And unlike during the battle, now I know. If you had faced us seriously, we would have been massacred. And our dearest wish, to evolve, would have crumbled like house of sand. Our eternal loyalty belongs to no other. Seriously, this guy, yes, had I mimicked the black serpent, I could have laid waste to all living things, but I didn't want to resort to that. Ranga holds too high of an opinion of me. Well, not that his misconceptions hurt me in any way. So you understand, you have grown. I am unworthy of such praise. Thus the conversation ended with a nod. However, I did kill his parent. No way I'll believe that he holds no grudge. If Ranga ever does come for revenge, I'll gladly face him. Until then, he just needs to grow stronger. Right now, no matter how I look at him, he's at most as strong as the black serpent. And that's how we continued our journey. Thus, without getting attacked by monsters or other incident, we comfortably continued on our way. Every 3 hours, we'd take a 30-minute break. After 14 hours, we'd take 7 to sleep. I did say, aren't we rushing too much? But we are fine. Due to evolving, this much can hardly tire us. Thus answered Raguru, please do not worry regarding us. Unlike you, our liege, we do require sleep, but not many hours. Furthermore, we do not require frequent meals and will not weaken when lacking them. And so added Ranga. Looking at others, their words seemed to prove true. At this rate, the one who does the least seems to whine the most. Well, if everyone is fine with it, I guess we can continue at this pace. We'll be running 12 hours a day, aren't these guys tough? And on the evening of the second day, while having dinner, by the way, Gabuta. How much farther is it? Introducing Goblin Gabuta. I am happy that you asked this unworthy one. Please pardon me should I be mistaken, but we should reach them by tomorrow. TH Mountain is close by. Seems like being asked by me made him both nervous and happy at the same time. He didn't bite his tongue, did he? That's how nervous he seemed. But indeed, most of the mountain is now in sight. Compared to not seeing it at all yesterday, what terrifying speed we travel at. On that note, by the way, and I know it's a sudden question, but why did you travel to the Dwarf Kingdom? Shouldn't their merchants stop by once in a while? I asked that question. When I asked Rigurdo about the Goblin Country, he also discussed something about kobold traders. So what could have prompted them to make this 2-month journey? Yes, it was about magic weapons and armor. Dwarfs tend to buy them at a high price. We were paid in equipment, so we helped the peddlers bring it back. And besides, not one of us could use that equipment, I see. So they sometimes sold the equipment carried by adventurers. And thus, they were left without appropriate equipment. Yet they sold it to kobolds who couldn't even properly estimate its value. In the first place, the goblins could kill a lost beginner, at most. Can't expect them to have gotten their hands on anything good, but who'd expect the dwarfs to make goblin armor? They may be a surprisingly kind race. Hopefully, we'll proceed on friendly terms. Actually, let's just form a partnership. Thus, since we started the journey, 3 days had passed. The beautiful city carved within the mountain range. Wrought by nature, the natural fortress. The warrior country Dworgen. We had reached the dwarf kingdom status name, Rimuru Tempest species, slime divine protection, the storm crest titles, one who commands monsters magic, none skills, unique skill great sage, unique skill predator, slime specific skills dissolve, absorb, regenerate, extra skill water manipulation, extra skill magic perception, acquired skills, black serpent heat detection, noxious breath, centipede paralysis breath, spider sticky thread, steel threat, bat ultrasound waves, lizard body armor, wolf supreme sense of smell, telepathic communication, coercion resistances, thermal fluctuation resistance X, physical attack resistance, pain resistance, electricity resistance, paralysis resistance. Chapter 14, Trouble. The military nation Dworgen. It was the kingdom of dwarves. 1,000 years had passed since the first generation dwarf hero, King Gurren Dwargo, had built this country. To this day, the country had been protecting, as well as developing, its history, culture, and technologies. The current king Azel Dwargo was part of the third generation dwarves, but possessed a similar aura to that of his grandfather in his younger days. He was renowned as a great hero and celebrated as a wise king for his impartial rule. The land was governed by one such a dwarf. As a free trade town, it was the center of trade between all kinds of races. Therefore, the town kept a policy of absolute neutrality. Within this town, the wise king would not tolerate violence. Even the empire in the east avoided open aggression with the military nation Dworgen. Needless to say, this was a favorite topic of conversation among adventurers. The dwarves were known to be such ferocious opponents that there was even a saying, "Go against a dwarf once, there won't be a second time." Their reputation as a military nation was not just for show. In battle, a wall of heavy infantry would defend the army magic corps. The opposing enemies would be totally annihilated by the powerful magic attacks before even managing to break through the infantry wall. During these past 1,000 years, the might of the dwarven army that boasted of invincibility had always remained famous. And the factor which supported their claims, it was none other than the equipments they produced using their technological strength. The weapons and armors they crafted using their cutting-edge techniques far surpassed the quality of ordinary goods. Therefore, rather than quarrel with the dwarf race, people chose to create friendly ties. For this reason, even if one were to encounter demons in dwarf territory, there was hardly anyone who would foolishly cause conflict. Their capital was a place where humans and demons mingled. It was truly one of the strangest lands in the world. Not to mention, while the capital positively overflowed with tools of war, it was still a country that was able to enjoy peace. The fact that the arms dealer's stronghold was the farthest from causing strife might have been, in a way, ironic. In front of the entrance, there was a large line of people entering. There, a large gate was built that was big enough to completely block the naturally formed Great Cave. The only times the gate was opened was on the occasions when the army needed to come and go, and only once a month at that. Unfortunately, it was closed today. Below the large gate, a small door was installed for the express purpose of letting people in and out. A line of people was formed on the left side of the passage. It appeared that the right-hand side was a pathway for the likes of nobles and important figures. That's what I assumed as I observed my surroundings while lining up on the left side. While waiting, I saw that there was a varied treatment of the people, such as those who received a free pass, while others would be taken into a separate room to be checked. Befitting of a military nation, the guards took a firmly defensive stance. Although it seemed that you were comparatively free to act when you get inside. Still, the line was incredibly long. It might be that we would spend more time here waiting than we did traveling. But at the moment I was thinking that, oi, there's demons in a place like this. We're still not inside, so isn't it fine to kill them here? Hey, what are you doing lining up there? You guys are damn cheeky. If you don't want to die, give me that spot. Also, leave everything you have behind. And then I'll let you go this time. Those were really quite the dubious statements. Actually, I think that voice full of ill intent was aimed towards us. Over here, there was no one but me and Gabuta-kun. In any case, taking along a group wearing only loincloths does make you stand out in a bad way. Rigor had also wanted to come, but I refused. The other group was camping at the entrance of the forest, waiting for our return. And that was why it was just us two, but I wonder if we looked like easy targets. It seemed that a pair of adventurers that didn't want to get in line had their eyes on us. Oi, Kabuta-kun, do you hear something? Yes, I can hear it too. Did you get caught up in something like this the last time you came? Of course. I was beaten black and blue, then I got picked up by a group of kobold merchants. If they hadn't found me, I think I might have died back then, so you did get involved. Well then, can nothing be done about it? It's something like the fate of weak demons. It looked like we were in trouble. Moreover, this was considered a normal occurrence here. I wished I'd known sooner. As if he had realized my thoughts, Kabuta-kun was hanging his head. I had finally gotten him to talk normally with me, but would this one-time mistake return him to his previous nervousness? I was a little worried. Boy. Even though you're nothing but a small fry. Don't be ignoring me now, rather than that, isn't a talking slime rare? Don't you think it'll be popular in an exhibit? The two continued making their annoying conversation. I vaguely felt like I've been told at one time that I had a Buddha-like deep compassion, but this was making me angry. Kabuta-kun. Do you remember the rules I said before? Yes. Of course, I see. Well then, for a while, I want you to close your eyes and plug your ears. You must not ever look this way. I don't really understand, but roger that. Now let's see. I was the one who made the rules, yet I would be breaking them first. If my group came to know of this, it would be bad from an educational standpoint. Since I made sure that Kabuta-kun, who was in the way, closed his eyes, let's begin clearing the trash. At that moment, the man on my right shifted his line of sight. Further checking my surroundings, I saw a group of three grinning amongst themselves as they observed the situation from afar. The two in front of me was a swordsman and another man wearing lightweight equipment. Most likely, he was in the profession of thieving. In the group of three, there was two that were wearing magician or priest-like robes and a large warrior. I made a prediction. All of them were in the same party, and these two in front were meant to chase us out according to their plan. Afterwards, the other three would follow and kill us as we run away, and then innocently regroup with the first two. I dare say that this was the scenario that they laid out. In this way, they must have killed the weaker demons and stolen their belongings. It was well thought up. However, this time, they picked the wrong opponent. Oi. You should patiently wait for your turn. I'm a very tolerant fellow, so it's not too late for forgiveness. Hurry up and line up from the back, I began provoking them. In that instant, the two in front of me were bewildered, and their faces quickly turned red. These guys had short tempers. Putting up a front when you're nothing but a VSH small fry demon, don't get cocky, oi, you're as good as dead now. I even considered sparing your life if only you gave up your belongings. They were reciting the kind of lines suited to petty underlings. Back when I was a general contractor, if you couldn't manage to make scary grim-faced uncles dance to your tune, you just weren't fit for work. Among those uncles, there were even some that had playfully scribbled things, tattoos, on their body. The feeble threats of a greenhorn was nothing more than passing wind. A VSH small fry demon? Were you talking about me? Of course it's about you. The likes of a slime is a small fry among small fry. Hurry up and get over here. It looks like you can talk well, so I'll turn you into a demon slave without killing you. A demon slave? There was something like that? Leaving that aside for the moment. The nearby merchants and adventurers were starting to notice the disturbance we were causing. I had to gather more attention. Although I don't know if such a thing as legitimate self-defense would work here, it would be great if even a few people could testify for me. However, was there no kind human who would yell, "I'll save you," and come dashing out? If I was a beautiful girl, there might have been someone like that, but I guess it's unreasonable to expect for a slime. Calling me small fry over and over, you sure talk arrogantly. Moreover, me, a slime, no matter how I see it, you're definitely a slime. Damn you, messing with me. I can't forgive being made a fool of by a weakling like you. I'll kill you after all. After saying that, the two readied their weapons. At last they were about to come at me. Oh boy. The first humans I got to talk to was like this. Such bad luck. To think that demons were friendlier. The people nearby had begun moving away to watch in a circle around us from afar. Perhaps the guards had also noticed the uproar, which might have been why they distanced themselves in such a hurry. Now then. I leisurely moved forwards and said, Cuckoo. You say I'm a weakling? A slime? Since when did I become a slime? Or are you just confused? I deliberately spoke, as if to imply something else. It was true that however you looked at it, I really am a slime. That was obvious from the very moment I was seen as a slime. But this was an act, probably. What did you say? Don't get carried away with bluffing, HMPH. If you're not a slime, then show your real form already. After you're dead, you won't get to make excuses. It seemed they would wait for me to transform. Just as planned. Even as a slime, I believe I could win against them. However, holding back would be hard, so I might end up accidentally slicing them right in half. It was difficult to adjust my strength to the degree of only knocking them out. Alright then. I'll let you see this true form of mine. This isn't even my final form. As I shouted, I also loosed a sinister aura to hint at my power. Of course, only a little bit of it. I checked around me to see if anyone had sensed that small amount of aura. Among the people watching us from far away, only a few had noticed. The two idiots before me and their companions showed no sign of being aware of it. These guys seemed to be all bark and no bite. I was done with observing the situation now. Now then, what should I turn into? From my body erupted a thick fog. It completely shrouded my form, and after a while it cleared away to reveal a different demon. A black wolf. Oh. I remember the last time I used predation and transformed afterwards. I had taken the form of a fanged wolf. Right now, I had black fur that was identical to that of the evolved Ranga and his pack. But not only that, my physique exceeded even Ranga's, and there was now a pair of horns on my forehead. Mimesis, Tempest Star Wolf. It seems that if the lineage of the demon I've used predation on evolved, it would also affect my mimicry. Most likely related to Rimuru naming them, which makes them family and connected in a way. This must have been a further evolved form of Ranga. I could feel an overwhelming power. I was sure that the idiot pair would run away upon seeing this appearance. But contrary to my expectation, haha. Even if you look tougher on the outside, it doesn't change that you're a slime. Oi, did you think we'd get cold feet and run away from just that? They don't realize anything. Oi, you should be able to know the level of danger just by looking. In the first place, if a slime transforms, even if you couldn't tell if it was an illusion or something else, taking caution is a given. And yet, these guys weren't concerned in the least. Perhaps they were reassured by the presence of their three friends in hiding. The number of skills I could use had also increased. Super affection, thought transmission, intimidation, shadow movement, black lightning. Shadow movement was a skill that Ranganko was in the middle of practicing. Their goal was to become able to use the skill to merge into the shadow of their partner and instantly appear when called. At present, they were only practicing entering shadows, so there was still a long way to go. And the other, black lightning, I could imagine its power without needing to test it. If I tried it out, the pitiful men in front of me would be burnt to black crisps. But since my predictions were rather poor, their conditions may turn out even worse. This being the case, there was no skills to use. If only intimidation would work on these morons. In a way, aren't idiots invincible? Anyhow, the end result was that I only managed to terrify a few of the spectators out of their wits instead. Oh boy, I don't care anymore. This is too tiring, so just come at me. I let them have the first strike. If I received damage while mimicking, what would happen? On one occasion, I had experimented on that question while in lizard form. I found out while continuously receiving attacks that when a certain amount of damage accumulated, the mimicry would wear off. Afterwards, there was no damage that had transferred to my slime body. Most likely, it was because the skill Mimesis utilized magic essence to create a new body, which was why the main body couldn't be damaged. There were two restrictions on this skill. After Mimesis wore off, I would be unable to transform for the next 3 minutes, and the other was that mimicking a demon required a certain amount of magic essence. The amount of magic essence required was relatively insignificant, hence it was not an issue, and there was no duration limit to the skill. To sum up, there wouldn't be a problem in letting them attack me as much as they wanted. In the case that the opponents were strong, I could return to my slime form and escape immediately. And the fight began with them attacking first. Head, die, riot. Wind slash the thief threw multiple daggers towards me. And was that swordsman using a skill attack? His sword was glowing green as he swung the blade at me. Clodong. Snap. Simultaneously throwing 3 daggers was quite impressive, but there wasn't enough force behind them to pierce my bristles. As for the swordsman, sadly, his precious sword had broken with a snap. "Just now, did you do something?" Assuming the role of a villain with an air of experience, I enthusiastically asked them in a belittling way. But frankly, the power of their attacks were so weak that my question was rather reasonable. Was that skill nothing but a show? And no way. Such hard bristles, real hard, baby impossible, this kind of thing, it's impossible. My sword was made with silver. It had a power amplifying effect against demons. Well, of course, isn't silver fragile? What was he even saying, this guy? Oi. You guys help out as well. As if no longer caring for appearance, he called for his companions. As I expected, the 3 that were in hiding was a part of their group. Head. It's the end for you now. My, really, I didn't expect we would get a turn. A slime's transformation magic? Interesting. I'll be sure to dissect it after killing it. For a while now, it hasn't been moving at all. Moving will probably break the spell. How's that? Did I hit bullseye? They were making so much noise while saying whatever they liked. The 5 of them then spread out in a circle around me and began attacking at the same time. The thief slashed at me with a short sword. This time, the swordsman casted a magic attack, wind sickles. He was surprisingly talented. The heavy warrior bellowed heavy slash as he swung his great axe. The magician also used a magic attack, fireball. The priest was creating a magic shield in preparation for my attack. As a party, it was a well-balanced formation. Though unfortunately for them, none of their attacks had affected me. I peeked a fleeting glance towards them. Apparently, they were too shocked to make a sound. If it was now, intimidation might have an effect. You wolf howling. Believe me when I say I'm really sorry about the bad sound effects. I used intimidation on top of my howling. But this turned out to be a massive failure. Even the spectators were fainting over here and wetting their pants over there. To put simply, the situation was a great disaster. Crap, what should I do? This definitely wouldn't end well at all. What about the group of 5? They had taken the full brunt of intimidation at point-blank range. Well, of course, there wasn't really a need to say it out loud. And suddenly, I detected a number of dwarven guardsmen that were running this way with magic perception. As for my current state of mind, I gazed at the scene of people soiling their pants with various substances, and I unconcernedly thought to myself, while escaping from reality, cleaning up after that mess would really suck.